everyone. Welcome to Social Science presented by Riverrun Consulting and supported by Woodford Reserve. Please drink responsibly. Tonight we're exploring the idea of material by exploring texture, friction, surface tension, and the properties of certain materials. I am very pleased to present our guest speaker, Barbara Trappier from the University of North Texas's Fashion Department. Her applied design research is focused on bringing an anthropological approach to innovation and design thinking and aimed at creating public policy applications related to social development, sustainable technology, and wearable products. Please join me in welcoming Barbara Trappier.
Good evening. I'd like to thank the Perot for the opportunity to be here this evening to share with you some research about the emerging world of smart garments, wearable technology in garment form, electronic textiles. As mentioned by Shannon, my name is Barbara Trappier. I'm a lecturer at the University of North Texas in the Fashion Department, and part of the research that you'll be seeing tonight is the work that I've been doing through the Design Research Center. So the topic that we'll be discussing tonight are smart garments and electronic textiles, which is the evolution in the textile field. It's the marriage of traditional forms of garment design with electronics and information systems. Garment technology, or the science of clothing, has long been associated with the technological advancement of man. From primitive man creating clothes to protect themselves from the elements, to the creation of the sewing machine, which was a critical component of the Industrial Revolution. We see garments as a way to create our cultural identity, to present our status to other people. It's how we communicate who we are. What we see now is the next evolution or revolution in technology, where garments and technology are merged. Well, what do we mean when we say smart garments? What exactly is a smart textile? When we think of this term, oftentimes it's confused with high tech. But the difference between a smart garment and the classic form of a mobile technology is that it is something that is worn on the body and it will respond to the wearer. It will communicate information, it will gather information about that individual and communicate it back, which is different than a mobile technology, the handheld, or even a watch accessory. There are a number of different versions of smart technology. The classic form is an embedded circuitry. The example that you see on the far left is a company called Cute Circuit, which has collaborated with a number of high-end fashion designers to incorporate LED light sensors into their clothing, such as you've seen Lady Gaga in her show. And these sensors respond to very specific programming from the individual as far as the display that they will create. These garments are not washable. The sensors have to be removed in order for the garment to go on. The other version is the actual conductive fiber, where sometimes the sensors have to be spread out more of a mesh all over the body to capture a broader number of spectrum of information. This is done using traditional methods of textile design, whether it's woven or knitted. The fibers can be stretched, they can be washable, and these are currently being utilized by companies like Levi's to create new products that will actually be able to generate energy to power mobile devices such as your phone or your iPad. The third version is a strategic sensor, as you see here in this athletic example by Hidoko. These sensors are placed strategically on the body to capture very specific forms of information about the wearer and gather that information. The beauty of a strategic sensor is that you have the blend of the softness of the garment with the embedded sensor technology. But regardless of the format that these utilize, the critical component about what makes it smart is that it is a communication device that is able to gather information about the wearer and communicate that back in some form of display. Now, the classic forms of display are visual display, where we read a sensor readout either on our phone or on the computer it shares that with the network. But the beauty of sensor technology is that it allows additional forms of display for the wearer, which we'll talk about in a moment. So where are these smart garments today? Well, they have been incorporated and are being developed in a number of categories. The military is currently using them for geopositioning of their soldiers, for remote operations, and for wellness metrics of their soldiers in the field to track activity. In the health and wellness field, you have companies like Under Armour and Nike who are using them to track performance metrics in athletes, such as we have in our Olympic team. Doctors are using them as new ways to track vital signs in patients, whether it be blood pressure, glucose monitors, heart rate, respiration, body temperature, to develop more comfortable ways, new methods that are more beneficial to the individual that you feel more prouder to be part of. And the last component is fashion and entertainment. These are new ways to communicate status with an audience using LED light sensors or conductive inks that change your graphic on your TV. So we're going to talk about how these garments work. The first most critical element in how these garments work is electricity. In the case of embedded sensors, it is the electricity of the human body that's wearing it that will trigger the sensor and then send a signal to the monitoring device that's tracking it. So you have two different sites of type of electricity operating within the garment. There's the stimulus, which is triggering the information into the sensor, and the response, and that's what's going out in a form of display. The beauty of the embedded sensor is it's blending the softness of the garment, the wearability, the portability of the garment, with the more stabilized sensor component. One of the more critical things about these wearable garments is that we want to include some kind of sensing in them. Now, traditional forms of sensing have you thinking about body sensing in terms of vital signs. You go into the doctor, he's going to check your heart rate, your blood pressure. But the beauty of these new wearable technology in garment form is that it can also track the context in which you're operating. It can sense ambient temperature in the room, sensitivity to light or to sound. And in addition to that, it may be able to track movement of the body. And the benefit of this more complete picture of the individual is it may be able to give us a better picture of how that body, a condition, may be evolving over time in an individual. And create and understand the context in which things are happening to that particular individual. The other critical element is that these are very, very portable devices. They have a beauty to them in how they're designed. In this particular example by the company Hanky Pancreas, we see the evolution of a glucose monitor. So these, in contrast to the more traditional forms of monitoring devices, these can be less obtrusive to the individual and be able to send information to the wearer in a more private format. They also may be able to communicate to a broader network, giving customized information to the person who's wearing it, to their broader caregiver team, to their medical team, and so you have a feedback loop happening between the product and the broader information system that you're utilizing. It is this opportunity to have a connected device to communicate with the wearer in different formats of display. We talked a little bit about different formats of display. One of the different formats of display is tactile perception. Because you're wearing the garment, you could have the opportunity to stimulate the wearer via vibration or change in temperature. So there may be alternate effects, sounds emitted by the garment themselves, just to the person who's wearing it. So there's new ways of displaying information to the person who's wearing it, communicating to you about yourself. In addition to the broader, more traditional forms of a mobile phone and your normal computer network. And so some of these examples are going to show are more advanced versions of it. We have here in this example is a sweater that incorporates this tactile perception factor. So it is a sweater designed by Polly Van Dorgan, and it's designed for dementia patients. The sensors are embedded to allow the physicians to track location and remote monitoring, but it's also for the patient to stimulate activity, because one of the things that become problematic as you continue to age is that activity slows down. And so both of these, both for the patient and the care team, you have two forms of communication that would be beneficial. There are also other forms of communication that are opportunities within a smart garment, such as adaptive phase change materials. These materials would then respond to specific body metrics and may be able to change based on light, heat, sound. In this particular example, this is a heat tech garment by the Japanese company Uniglow, which is a very lightweight fiber that allows the individual to be very warm and comfortable in the winter without a lot of bulk. It's also opportunities for responsive physiological changes. In this particular example by Haley Profita in combination with Microsoft research, she developed garments which incorporate LED light sensors into them to counteract seasonal affect disorder. So the blue lights in these garments then help offset some of the depression symptoms which take place for people who live in Finland and New Zealand. And so what you have are the LED lights where the electricity drops, the light changes, and that helps the patient. So just a quick summary for where we've been. Garments, as the new platform for wearable technology, give us more opportunities than the classic mobile device because they can communicate to us in different ways. Not only they can collect a variety of different vital signs, they can also capture information about the environment, the context in which we are activating, a history of our actions, and also communicate with us in other forms of tactile display, sound, light, etc. So, as an overall summary, I'd like to think about a statement that design philosopher Herbert Simon said, where design is about taking your existing situation and transforming it into a preferred one. And we are on the cusp of that technology with our garments today. Thank you very much. If there are any questions, we can discuss them. Shannon, I'm not sure if she can
I have a question. How's the electricity harnessed in the garment?
There are different forms, so depending on whether it's the circuits, the sensors, the conductive fiber, or so it depends. Different ones. They're all different depending on the format. So with regards to the embedded circuits, that's going to be something that's actually programmed to activate and act in a certain way. And so you have actuators that are designed and coded to respond and perform very specifically. With regards to the graphene fibers, they're designed to capture electricity from the person who's wearing it, or it could be from the washing of the garment itself. So depending on how that fiber was created and is activated and generated electricity into that particular fiber. You don't have to plug it in. The benefit is there's no wiring and you don't have to plug in, you don't have to charge it.
Yeah.
Now with regards to the sensors, that might be something that you would actually, so the conductive circuits, the embedded circuits, and with the sensors would be two versions which may need charging, if you will. But the conductive fibers do not require that because they are self-charging. That's a very good question. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
In regard to medical devices, is there data security incorporated in that, or is it?
Well, so because of the nature of these particular materials, they usually have a limited number of factors that they can capture. You wouldn't be able to, at this point, design a garment that's going to tell you everything about that individual.